Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Laphroaig 25 and which vintage to buy. You may think, Laphroaig 25, they're all the same. I assure you, they're not. I have today with us the 2019 Laphroaig 25. Comes in at a whopping 51.4% ABV, and it is matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. We have the 2018 Laphroaig 25, comes in at 52% ABV and is matured exclusively in ex-bourbon barrels. No sherry maturation whatsoever. And then finally we have the 2017, which comes in at the lowest ABV of 48.9%, and again aged both in bourbon and sherry casks. So, Laphroaig 25, I've always said this is one of my best bang for your buck whiskeys. It's cask strength, it's 25 years old, and it's generally under $500. Not a cheap whiskey, but you know, if you're looking to get into some older whiskeys, which in my personal opinion is 20 plus years old, this Laphroaig right here is a great place to start. It's cask strength, it's peated Islay, and just an excellent buy for the money compared to what most 25-year-old whiskeys are. Now, again, I have the 19, 18, and 17. The reason why I picked these three is once you get into four or more, it's kind of clumsy to do as far as a whiskey review. And I don't have the 2020, and I do have the 2016, but the 2016 and 2017 are extremely close as far as profile, with the 17 being a little bit better. So that's where we're at as far as that goes. Just want to show you the color difference. This is the 17, which is sherry cask maturation. This is the 18, which is bourbon. And I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but a decent color difference. This is quite a bit darker. Now, even though the cask maturation is different, it is a pretty similar profile on all of these, and we'll get into all that now. All right, so just like before, when we're taking a look at the Lagavulin 18s, we're gonna slide these up here to make it a little easier for me to nose and taste these particular whiskeys. And we're gonna start with the 2017. So right away, you're getting lovely tropical fruits with this, along with that medicinal smoke. But that medicinal TPC smoke is dialed back quite a bit with this 2017. You're getting some tropical fruits as well as some darker fruits from the sherry. Nothing as dark as a figure of date, but let me tell you, some papaya, mango is here. A very close to the equator sort of citrus. This whiskey reminds me so much of visiting Jamaica. I visited Jamaica probably 3 different times in my lifetime. Basically a rum spot, but just the fruits, because I went on a couple hikes, went on a couple canopy tours, just the fruits that are in the wooded areas of Jamaica, very much brings me back to those moments. Very tropical fruit. The 2018, again, no sherry maturation in this one. Smells so much stronger as far as an ABV. So much denser and oilier. Now this is 48.9? Correct. This is 48.9, this is 52% ABV, this 18, and this is one of the higher ABVs I've seen recently out of the Laphroaig 25s. The dense, oily, not as much as the tropical fruits, but they're still there. The wood influence is greater, the vanilla stands out a bit more. And again, this is going to be an individual review of any of these whiskeys, just how they compare to each other. I brought you a review of the 17. I'll bring you reviews of the 18 and 19 at some point, Dustin and I will, but just to kind of give you a broad overview in case you're looking at some of these, because usually, you know, on sites and on auction sites, all of these vintages are somewhere available. As a matter of fact, here in Ohio recently, we got the 2019 and the 2015 version for some reason here in Ohio in 2021. So they're out there, but there are some significant differences between the bottlings. Just know that, and that's what this video is for. All right, moving along to 2019. Not as oily or as dense as the 2018, is not as fruity or as tropical as the 2017. Now it is both, again, sherried and bourbon maturation. However, this is far more, as Dustin put it to me, Laphroaig, and I agree with him. And what I mean by that is, if you have Laphroaig 18 or even Laphroaig 10, there'll be more elements in this whiskey that you'll recognize right away as compared to these two, where these two are very Slightly more subtle, but I feel more advanced, more aged, more nuanced than this particular 19, at least on the nose. If I had to put a score on it, I would say my favorite nose is the 17, second is the 18, and coming up a distant third would be the 19. Again, it's more Laphroaig. It's not that, obviously I love Laphroaig. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but these just come off like far more aristocratic, far more aged, far more worth spending the extra money as compares to say the 18 or a cask strength 10. All right, so let me take a sip of all these and I'll throw a dab of water in and kind of tell you what I think about the palate. Lovely. Lovely, candied, fruity, almost shockingly how fruity this Laphroaig 25 is. Of the 17, this is probably my favorite palate of any of them. I'll tell you that right off the bat, just because of the nice combination. And I think that the lower ABV is maybe testament to maybe there's slightly older whiskey in this, because it tastes like this is older whiskey than these other two to some degree. Moving along to the 18. Far more viscous, far more oily, this 2018 compared to the 17. There's more vanilla here. A little bit more TPC than there is here. But again, well-aged, dense, oily Laphroaig 25. Just a beautiful gem. And it's rare they don't add sherry maturation into this. It's a rare one where it's just bourbon maturation only on these 25s. But when it is, I'm telling you, they're usually a higher ABV and they're usually more dense and oily on the palate, and this is no exception. All right, finally, the 2019. More aggressive than the other two. Less refined. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just Laphroaig. It's a far more well-aged, more aristocratic version of the 18. It has slightly higher ABV too. So quickly on the nose, on the palate, I'd prefer this on the nose, the 2017. I would prefer the 2018 on the palate. The extra oiliness and that really strong woody vanilla, along with those TPC medicinal notes, kind of does it for me on this. But these would flip-flop first and second place, nose and palate, to where the 19 comes in third in both scenarios. So I put a dab of water in all three of these. Let me see if anything changed. All right, with the 17, actually, it made it more candied. Lush, ripe citrus fruits. Tangerine, maybe a twinge of mango. Just an incredible whiskey experience. Great whiskey. Overall, I have to give the 2017 the best one of these three overall. Again, prefer the palate on the 18, but overall whiskey experience, number one is the 2017. More woody, more oaky. The lack of sherry cask maturations lets the spirit shine a little bit more with this particular one, which is always nice. Very close between these two. You know, it could really go either way. Just the tropical fruit note that's in this 2017 version, to me, sets it apart from the rest of them. That's why it's particularly my favorite. But again, it comes in a little bit lower of an ABV. Chances a little bit older of whiskeys in this one. At least that's kind of how it noses and tastes to me. All right, finally, the 2019. Now, earlier I said this is more Laphroaig, more reminiscent of what you get out of the 10 and the 18. But I tell you what, with a few drops of water, it does open up those tropical fruit notes a little bit that I was not getting initially. Now, I've had this bottle for 6-8 months. It's halfway gone. It's down to here. So it's not as if this is a neck pour. It's not as if I haven't taken my time with it. But I don't often add water to these 25s, so I think they drink perfectly neat. Having said that, there is more tropical fruit notes in this 2019 with a few drops of water. But overall, it doesn't change my opinion. In a three-man race, the 2019 is the bronze. The 2018 is the silver. and the 2017 is the gold. And again, the 2016 is very, very similar to this 2017, but the 17 is quite a nice step up. I've had older vintages, 2014, 2015, the ones that come in a black box as opposed to the white packaging, and I'm talking about the outer box. They also come in a little bit lower of an ABV. So be wary of that as well. But the Laphroaig 25 is always an excellent whiskey. When Dustin and I did our top 5 whiskeys under $500, Laphroaig 25 was my number 1. I'm partial to the distillery, I'm partial to Islay, so make sure you understand that before you take that to the bank. However, if you like this distillery and you like smoky peated whiskey, and if you haven't tried Laphroaig 25, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Dustin and I will bring you at some point the individual reviews of the 18 and the 19. The 2017 is already up there for you to review if you want to take a look at my individual review of that. And I certainly would appreciate it if you would. But if you've had any of these or want to get into the Laphroaigs, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me anything you'd like in the comment section. And until next time, as always, I wish you happy drinking. See you then.